So as you can see, my hair is over curled, just like the overhype the castor oil gets on a regular basis.
Oh my God! Wow!
It is championed across the Team Natural Hair community as the one thing that is going to enhance the growth, the health, and the longevity of your scalp, but that is simply not true. As an herbalist, I love castor oil, and I love the plant itself. And I'm gonna tell you something. The most amazing benefits that you get do not come from you slathering your scalp with it, but from you ingesting it. Our ancestors, a few of them, put it on their scalp, but the real history of castor oil starts from ingesting it internally. So in this video, I'm gonna break down the true, amazing, magnificent benefits of castor oil and how you can make, oh my God, and how you can make castor oil a part of your everyday diet if that's something that you want to do. But baby, putting it on your scalp is not it. So let's break down the amazing pros, which most of you already know, but then we're going to end it with some of the cons that lead to contact dermatitis and so many different forms of inflammation that lead to all of the different forms of balding that are hunting Black women in the United States of America today. And not just in America, all over the world, not just the city but the world. You got people going bald and getting dermatitis all over the world, Craig.
I am back! What it do, baby?
So at first, castor oil was something that I was not going to touch because across social media, you all are so in love with oil, and castor oil, coconut oil, flaxseed oil, it's all the craze right now. But I will forever say the same thing over and over again. And today we're going to start in reverse. I'm going to show you someone who actually is at the end of what I'm constantly trying to get you guys to undo, and I'm going to show you how she is able to grow her hair back after oils, butters, greases, your Team Natural hairstyles, your crochet braids. I'm going to show you exactly what it did to her hair and how it took her hair out, and you are going to watch this woman grow her hair back. You're gonna see it, but we're starting on the ground floor. I already have her permission to share this with you, so I really want us to get into this. Hi Cyn, can you help me? Will your 7-day challenge work for my situation? Absolutely. I have crochet braids for years and finally stopped due to severe breakage and bald spots. My hair struggled to grow back. I finally decided to get a hair transplant in the front. My hair started growing back, but then it broke off again from the use of oils and butters, and the list goes on. I feel so broken inside, and I have no one else to blame but myself. Let me say this. Number one, accountability is our number one step. If you could take accountability, so that way you can gain wisdom from your experiences and look at all of the different things that you've done to get yourself to this place, so you can then get yourself out of it, right? So something that we talk about all the time here on my channel is protective styles, how your braids and your twists and your crochet braids and all of the things that you think you're supposed to do to your hair as a Black woman, these things are actually hurting you way more than they're helping. Now, if I say don't put oil and grease on your scalp because it is going to cause balding, if you are using oils and greases and butters and you've been doing it for years and years and years and your hair feels great, I say it all the time, everything works until it doesn't. And the reason that I'm always telling you guys not to put oils and butters and greases and things of that nature within the follicle is because behind the scenes, beautiful women who are brave enough and accountable enough to admit it to me are in my comments telling me that all of the things that you are currently doing that you think are it, 20-30 years down the line, you may be at a place where you can't even produce new hair follicles. Now, this is the thing. Some people are under the impression that their hair follicles are dead. Let's say this. If you constantly oil and grease and butter the scalp and you're constantly having having tight protective styles, constantly saturating the scalp with castor oil, we'll talk about that in a second, you will run into intense balding. You've been watching these videos and these movies, and you think that because you're a black woman, all you're supposed to do is put braids in your hair and your hair is just going to be long. But it's not true. Listen.
We do not care
About anything that you have to say, because I have facts in front of me. And when we look at things like this, yeah, some of you will be like, oh my God, this is so cute. But this is traction alopecia in the making. This is so many different forms of alopecia. And even though it looks so great and so satisfying to some of you, this is literally torture for the hair's follicle. This is not supposed to happen. I know that it seems great to have all these little itty bitty braids in your hair, but for one, who's taking them out? And for two, do you understand how much weight and pressure you're putting on these itty bitty individual strands? And can you pay attention to the fact that this is most likely something that she does on a regular basis, and you can see the hairline just going back further and further and further. But for whatever reason, a lot of us think that this is what we're supposed to do. And I'm telling you that your braids, your twists, your oils and butters are literally destroying your hair's follicle, destroying it at its core. And there's literally nothing you can do about it but to stop oiling the scalp, stop greasing the scalp, stop buttering the scalp. Only have braids and extensions if you are having a very, very specific purpose behind them. And this is what I mean by that. Because braids are extremely time consuming, people charge a couple of $100s to put all of these individual braids in your hair. And whether it's a bunch of people in your head or not, that doesn't mean it should be cheaper, because actually everybody that's braiding your hair, whatever money you pay, that has to be split between every person that's in your head. So that doesn't make it better. So I need you to understand, this has nothing to do with the health of the hair. It has nothing to do with the health of the human scalp in any way, shape, or form. It is all a vanity metrics. Even the foam. The reason that you use foam is to set a bond. When you have your hair braided, the bond is already set. So to be honest, you're really just kind of packing more layers of product on top of the oils, on top of the butter, on top of the grease, on top of the edge control that's used in between the partings. I love you guys, but regardless of how good this oil and butter and grease feels going on your scalp, it does not belong there. And it doesn't matter how good you hear about these oils and butters being for you, none of those properties have anything to do with the human scalp. Your scalp does not have a digestive system, right? So all you were doing by adding those oils and butters and greases to the scalp were feeding the scalp's microbiome, making all of the good and bad bacteria and yeast overpopulate. They're supposed to be there. There's nothing you can do about it. But when you add oils and butters and greases and all of the other things, you end up causing so much stress to the follicle. The follicle's literally fighting for its life. It's getting attacked by your body's immune system because you're putting all of these things on the scalp. It's looking at these things as some type of foreign body. So your head is literally at war. That's what was going on, right? So this is the thing. Sometimes, and I'm just gonna be honest, that's why I'm always so intense on my channel when so many people have a problem with it. I don't care. And this is why I don't care, because on YouTube all y'all see is, oh, my hair looks so cute after I use oils and butters and grease. But what I see is everybody who followed them years later down the road, when hair weathering has set in, when their hair follicles start to slowly begin to deteriorate, because it's a difference between your follicles beginning to deteriorate and your hair follicles dying. Most of you are at the process or at a point where they're just deteriorating and they're not dead. But let me tell you something. If your follicles die, there is no bringing them back. So there are some people that are like, oh my God, seeing people said that the follicle's dead, but I'm seeing new hair coming out now that I'm doing some of your techniques. That just means that you were right before the land of no return. Even if your skin bald, there's a possibility that you do have the ability to reset things and begin to grow new hair. But you have to gain a whole new pattern, a whole new routine. And one thing that I get all the time here on my channel is like, okay, Cyn, you're telling us, what not to do, but you're not telling us exactly what to do. How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I do this? How do I do that? I love y'all so much. As y'all can see here on the screen, I haven't put anybody who's taken the 7-day challenge or the blueprint. Here on the screen, these are all of the people who were able to reset their patterns and their routines simply based on the things that I talk about here on my channel. They've been binge watching all of my videos. However, you will get to a place, or you may not get to a place where it's like, okay, I get it, but I need all of these things compacted together and a set routine and pattern. That's what the growth cycle blueprint is for, and that's what the 7-day hair growth challenge is for. I'll put a link in the description box below to the video that tells you exactly what each one is and the difference between the two, right? But that is where you get the, how do I undo this? How do I detox the scalp? How do I reverse all of my team natural practices? How do I bring my follicle back to life? How do I bring my dormant follicle back to life? Because the truth of the matter is, most of you don't have dead hair follicles. Because I'm going to be honest, if the hair follicle is dead, that's it. There's no bringing it back. You would have to get a follicle transplant, which I really want you to see yourself and your sisters that I share here on the channel. Again, she was like, yes, girl, share it. I do not have a problem with it. Like, yes, I really need help. So this is the thing. You have to completely undo all of the things that you've done, because the truth of the matter is, regardless of how much these YouTubers tell you how good these products are, regardless of how good these YouTubers and these influencers, whatever you want to call them, tell you castor oil and all of these different oils are, they're only good for short term. And when we talk about the history of castor oil, right? They were not putting it on their scalp every single day. They get up in the morning, brush their teeth, oil their scalp. That was not a thing. It wasn't. It was not. It was used for ritualistic practices. It was almost like a form of prayer. Even when we're talking about Indian medicine, Indian holistic medicine, when it comes to herbs and things like that, they were not just every day getting up in the morning, putting oils and greases and butters in their scalp. No, it was a carrier. And then it was only left in the scalp for a very, very small amount of time. And then they shampooed their hair with different shampoos that were made with extractions from plants. It was not just boiling stuff in a pot and putting it in your hair. It does not work that way. And the only thing that does, it wipes out all of your good and bad bacteria. So by you doing all of the things that all of these women on YouTube are teaching, most Black women are experiencing massive balding, massive shedding. And that's why I will never stop making the videos that I make, regardless of who disagrees and doesn't like it. You know why? Because somebody has to do it. Because now that hair weathering has set in all of these years later, like I told you it would almost over a decade ago, now all of the people who have you in this position in the first place are now like, oh, get your blood work done. It's your genetics. It's because your grandpa had alopecia. No, it's not. It's because you don't follow proper practices. Now, this client that's in my chair, you guys have watched her get a deep conditioning treatment after her scalp was detoxed and properly blow dried before her sewing. You did not see me add oils, butters, or grease to her hair. Absolutely nothing is on her hair. Shampoo, conditioner, leave-in conditioner. It was sprayed down. Then I braided her hair up. Think I may have put like a tiny bit of serum all like emulsified it on my hands, and then put it all throughout her hair, literally like half of a dime size amount, literally the smallest amount. Then her hair was braided up, and now her sew-ins going in. Now this first initial track I put under the braid because it works with the natural curvature of her hair, right? So I put it under the hair, and then I sew under because again it works with the natural curvature of the hair. Do what you want to do. I do not care, girl. I do not care. But that is what I do, especially when my clients are making sure, when I'm trying to make sure that they don't have any breakage, extra tension, extra pulling. You want to always go with the natural curvature of your client's hair. So that is what we are doing. For her scalp and for her hair texture, we are not using the hair net because my clients don't keep their, well, I don't do hair anymore, but this video is like 7 years old, but my clients, they didn't keep their weaves in for years on end. So we didn't use a hair net. She never needed one. She never had any breakage whatsoever. This isn't her first, second, or third set of extensions. And I remember when we first started, around her perimeter was a lot thinner, but it was getting so much better, and I'm sure it's still amazing now. I love her so much. She's like one of my favorite clients. But as I'm doing her hair or whatnot, I'm always asking, does this feel okay? Does this feel okay? You never want to have extreme attention, and when you're getting a sewing, the braid patterns are not just there to look cute. Most cosmetologists who know what they're doing, they do their braid patterns around the curvature of their client's head, so it makes them easier. It makes it easier for us to lay tracks in a way that gives you a really, really flat, natural laying sewing, because this one is meant to look like her hair. We're not doing a whole bunch of boom and curls and stuff. She wants it to look like she has her natural hair silk pressed. That's it. That's all. And she went, I didn't classify any of my clients as a natural like that. I see your hair natural if it's growing out of your scalp. Whether it's chemically treated or virgin, it's still your natural hair, right? So when I say natural hair, I'm talking about the difference between sew-in extensions or the hair that's growing out of your scalp. When I say natural hair, that's what I mean. And if I'm talking about the texture of your hair, I'm going to say virgin versus chemically treated hair. That's how I speak of hair. Okay, so I really, really hope that makes sense. But as you can see, I'm not adding any extra oils or butters because think about this. Her scalp is exposed, and there has never been an easier time for the sebum to make it out of her hair. And then this is something else I want you to think about. Everybody's like, oh, how do I put oil on the braids? Why would you put oil on the braids? Look, think about this. If sebum is naturally secreted out of the human scalp, right? If right now, at this time, sebum is coming out of your scalp at all times, right, throughout the day. Right now, the braids are sitting directly on your scalp. Think about that. There's literally no reason for you to put oil on your scalp. When you have your hair braided, there is never a time where sebum is closer to your entire hair shaft than it is when it's in the braids. And I want you to test something out, right? Braid your hair up, shampoo your hair, right? And of course, this is my 7-day challenge members. Y'all know how to detox. My blueprint members, you really know how to excessively detox, right? So you've already done your detoxing and all of the things, right? So your scalp is clean and clear, your sebum is flowing, right? Shampoo your hair, condition your hair, put your leave-in in, blow dry it. If you're doing a sew-in, braid your hair, or maybe you're not even gonna do a sew-in, maybe you're just gonna test it out. Part your hair down the middle, right? Put one braid on one side, the other braid on the other side. Don't put anything in your hair besides the leave-in conditioner. Get up, comb your hair every day, right? At least 2 days. And then at the end of that second day, touch your scalp, and I bet money you're gonna see oil coming on your fingers. You're going to see like what look like, what was that? Is that an oil? Yes, it is. It's coming directly from your scalp. And all you're doing by adding oils, butters, and greases is blocking that sebum from coming out. When your hair is braided, it literally makes no sense to add oils, butters, and greases. Not to mention, on top of that, when we're talking about crochet braids, if you think about it now, when you unpack this in your mind, I need you to put all of the different different things, list all of the different triggers in the comments. Because remember, I tell you first, there's a trigger, then there's the inflammation, and then there's the balding, the whatever the scalp disorder is. So you put all of these oils and butters and greases in the scalp, and on top of that, haven't you guys heard about toxic braiding hair? Well, your crochet braids, they're all produced with that toxic braid in here, right? So if all you're wearing all year, and let's be honest, most women who experience things like this with crochet braids, I love you, sister, girl, but just know most of y'all spend your life, as soon as those crochet braids get old, you put another set in, and the crochet braids are wrapped not only around the braid that you put in your hair, but that braid is connected, and that crochet braid is wrapped and it's constantly rubbing on the scalp, constantly. And you think you're protecting your hair. You are not protecting your hair at all. Your hair is never in, and your scalp is never in more danger than when you have crochet braids, because that crochet braid is constantly rubbing up against the scalp. And remember, the average human being has anywhere between 100,000 to 400,000 strands of hair on their head. Remember, every pore, it protrudes anywhere between 1 to 4 strands, 100,000 to 400,000 strands. So understand that when you have those crochet braids, if you lose 5 to 6 out of 400,000 strands of hair, you're not going to notice that at first. You may not notice that for like the first 6 to 7, 8 months. You may not notice that for the first year, especially if your hair is getting longer, because everybody's hair grows. Braids don't grow your hair. They just make it so you're not touching your hair, so you're able to retain length because you're not messing in it. The braids have not grown your hair. That's not how it works. It's actually the opposite. Your hair is actually thinning out from the constant tension, the constant oiling, the constant greasing. So after years and years of doing this, the follicles slowly begin to deteriorate, right? And they begin to lie dormant. This is telogen effluvium, where the hair follicles, they lie dormant within the telogen phase of the hair growth cycle, and it just won't grow until the threads are gone. So you have to remove all threads. And again, I've been saying these things on this channel for over a decade, and in the past I used to give you a blow by blow, step by step, exactly how to do it. But you guys, I don't do that anymore, because we see where that got us in the past when I told y'all not to use rice water and what to do in exchange for that. So we're not walking down that road anymore, but I just want you guys to see the difference between what I call a protective style and what you guys call a protective style, because right now her hair is temporarily protected, but once this weave has been in her head for like 30 days and she had another skin cell turnover cycle, and those dead skin cells want to come up but they can't because there's so many in, maybe her second month, right, I would let her get another like 2 weeks tops. And she would come in, I would detox her scalp, shampoo it real good, and then she would try to get to the end of the month. I never did more than 2 maintenance appointments because they're not supposed to be in that long. That is how you get traction alopecia. That is how your hair falls out. I love y'all. Crochet braids seem great, but think about this. If you were to take all of the crochet hair that you have put in your head and just hold it all in your hand, it's heavy. So when you put those crochet braids in, you are now making your hair follicle hold on to every last one of those hairs, not to mention they're weaker because the scalp is covered in castor oil, right? So even though I'm constantly saying no butters, no oils, it's because hair care is a holistic practice. What does that mean? When something is holistic, it means all pieces of a whole. It's not just as simple as, oh, okay, I know what I'm about to do. I'm about to make sure it's gas in my car. It's more than that. You have to make sure you have a tune-up. You have to make sure the brakes work. There's so many different things that go into a car working, or even a relationship working. There are so many things that you need to look at. And I'm telling y'all, and now I don't really have to tell y'all can see it for yourself. Oils, butters, and greases are not it. And now I'm not gonna put her picture up there on the screen anymore, even though she already said that I could share everything, right? I need y'all to understand that when you look at this woman's picture, go into the beginning of the video, her hair looks exactly like some of the YouTubers that y'all have been following. Her breakage looks exactly like their hair looks right now, but still nobody's paying attention. Nobody's making the connections. And these are the things that you need to think about. I purposely show y'all if I'm having an HS outbreak or anything, just so you can see I have nothing to hide. And not only do I have nothing to hide, I am a woman who puts my pants on one leg at a time, just like you, right? And I have to follow the science of the human body just like you do, because if I do some of the things that I tell you not to do, my hair is gonna break off too. So most women, especially women who are team naturaling it up, are like, oh, I wear crochet braids or I wear box braids, but I don't wear sew-ins. There's no difference between your sew-in and some crochet braids. And I'm going to tell you something. Sew-ins are 10 times better for the hair than your crochet braids or your box braids could ever be. And I'm just being honest. It's a fact. There are so many women who wear sew-ins all the time, but they have proper regimens in between those extensions or those weaves, and they're fine. And I do want to say that a lot of women, like especially my people, they like to get attitudes whenever somebody says something about weaves and extensions being different. They are different. To weave is to weave in hair, the same way that I sewed those tracks in her hair, whereas extensions are to extend the hair that is already on your head. Your hair is still out and you just add tracks in. Just like when my hair gets oily, I have clip-ins that are cut to the same length as my hair, because my hair gets super oily super fast. And if I need to film real quick and I don't feel like washing my hair, shampooing my hair to the next day or a couple of days, then I'll put some clip-ins in so I can be true for my video. But these are the things that I need you to understand, that the yeast and bacteria that you let live in your hair, that's what's breaking your hair off. I don't think y'all understand that the dandruff and things of that nature are living organisms. What you're seeing right now is a certain form of yeast and bacteria that lives on the scalp that makes its way up the hair shaft. It makes it its home, and that's what's breaking your hair off. The yeast and bacteria that you are constantly feeding with these oils, right? Castor oil is an amazing oil. It is so amazing. It has some of the most amazing properties, but it's powerful. And it's so powerful that it will almost instantly hurt the follicle. And when I say instantly hurt the follicle, you're expecting that to mean that as soon as you put it on, the follicle dies. No, this is something that could take years. And when you've been doing this one thing and you think that everything's right, you're like, this can't be it. No, that's exactly what it was. And I just love the transparency that she had, but I want you to also see yourself in that, because this woman, crochet braids were one of her issues, and then she went and got a hair transplant, a hair follicle transplant, but then still filled the follicle up with oil. That's like the worst thing you can do to the follicle, period, especially when you just got a new follicle transplant. And those follicles aren't even supposed to, those new hair follicles aren't supposed to be in those specific follicles. So by you filling it up with another foreign body like oil, you literally just wasted all of your money. You threw all of the money that you spent on that follicle transplant on oils and butters. Now, this is what the castor oil plant looks like, and it is so freaking amazing for your internal organs. Oh my God, the things that it does to your blood and your respiratory system and so many other things. Castor oil is absolutely amazing. It's so powerful, but it should not be directly used on the scalp topically. It should not. if you really look back in history, our grandmothers were having us take spoonfuls of castor oil. I know my grandma did. It was freaking disgusting. We don't do that anymore. If you really want to get the benefits of castor oil, do it like your grandma did it. Doing it in that way. Now, if you still want to put oils and butters and greases on your scalp, you can go right ahead. I don't make videos like this because I'm like, oh, listen to me, and I want to make you angry. I don't care about none of that. I make these videos because I get emails like this multiple times a day, not multiple times a week, multiple times a day. So no matter how you feel, I will never stop. Never. Because it's all about supply and demand, and I know what you're demanding and I know what they're supplying, and I also know the real motive behind why women were listening to you in the first place, and it wasn't for this, but this is where they are today. And I will not stop until every woman on the face of the earth, especially here in America, stop oiling and greasing their scalp. So make sure your post notifications are on, so you will be there for part 2, where we go deep into castor oil and all of its key constituents and so many other things. I love you. Bye.